All right. In the midst of this next block, right after we go back to Mark Dice for that CNN clip because he covered it, we have a clip titled October Surprise, which is in the video game theme of politics. I'll put it that way. It was submitted to me by my good friend Paul Verge. And yeah, some people will dig it and some people will be like, okay, we got it. But it's funny all the way through. It's well written. So that's why we're going to include it in this time capsule. And then we have CNN's claiming Trump's in $2 billion in debt. Now, most people know, in October, Truth Social went through he increased his worth allegedly to like 8 billion. So if he's got 2 billion in debt and he's got 6 billion not in debt, I don't know. Am I supposed to be worried? He doesn't have access to his money while he's in the White House anyway. So what's the point? What are they trying to say other than, just drag him through the mud a little more? Again, I wouldn't give the dude time of day, except he seems to be the enemy of my enemy. So maybe I have to give some consideration to why he's out there on the field doing the things he's doing. Anyway, let's see here. Media lies claim Trump called for executing Liz Cheney. We'll hit that real quick because that story has kind of already been mentioned. And then we've got more that we're going to try to squeeze into the show. We're going to need a shoehorn for this one. But we will see the Top Gun clip for sure. All right, so let's go to Mark Dice, and then we'll get to Street Fighter Kamala versus Trump.
Harris, like most politicians, talks out of both sides of her mouth. And like her role model, Hillary Clinton, she also adopts various different accents depending on the ethnic group or the region of the country that she's speaking to, trying to appear as if she's one of them. But in a shocking act of actual journalism, this is not a deep fake. This actually is a real CNN segment. They reported on some of her campaign commercials, which actually are presenting different messages depending on whether she's trying to target Arabs or Jews. And in this case, she's not just pandering to them. Each message is diametrically opposed to the other.
Tonight, mixed messages. A K-file investigation this hour finds Kamala Harris is targeting crucial battleground voters with vastly different messages on Gaza and Israel. This ad is running in Michigan, which has the largest Arab population in America.
Which, on a side note, one of them where the entire city council had been taken over by Muslims, they did the right thing and they banned the display of the rainbow pride flag on public property last year during Pride Month, which upsets many of the liberal locals who thought that they were getting plenty of diversity. A sense of betrayal, liberal dismayed as Muslim-led U.S. City Council bans pride flags. Many liberals celebrated when Hamtramck, or however you pronounce that, Michigan elected a Muslim-majority city council in 2015, but a vote to exclude LGBTQ plus flags from city property has soured relations. Aw. But back to Cloud News' report, and there's a reason why they're actually doing this. Not that they're trying to get back to their roots of an actual news network. Something else going on here, but let's continue.
What has happened in Gaza over the past 9 months is devastating. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent.
All right, well, it's a very different story for an ad in Pennsylvania targeting Jewish voters.
Let me be clear. I will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself, and I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself.
And continue to give them the $5 billion a year in aid that, of course, we, the taxpayers, have to fund.
Because the people of Israel must never again face the horror that a terrorist organization called Hamas caused on October 7.
Different message. Andrew Kaczynski is out front now. So, Andrew, those obviously do sound starkly different, to say the least. Tell me more about what you found.
Well, you see, this isn't about actual journalism. This is about a certain group of people at the network getting upset that Kamala is pandering to our sworn enemies, the Palestinians.
Yeah, that's right. And this really illustrates the sort of fine line that the Harris campaign is trying to walk here in the closing weeks, closing days of this campaign on the issue of Israel. Here you have two entirely different constituencies, and they are getting two entirely different messages. There are often times these constituencies have very opposing views on this. If you are a Jewish person in Pennsylvania, you saw that ad that you're getting. You are getting that ad that talks about how strong she is in Israel. If you're a Muslim voter in Michigan, you are getting that ad on Facebook that's talking about how she won't be silent on the issue of Gaza. Now, what's really interesting here
is that Elon Musk's PAC actually did the exact opposite. He started showing the Jewish voters in swing states what her views are on Gaza, and then started showing the Arab voters in swing states that she's pandering to Israel. Pretty brilliant. And you got to also give credit to the Harris campaign because they saw what he was doing, and then they decided to reverse engineer his scheme and then did the exact opposite. Comedian Rob Schneider has an entire bit about Kamala's pandering by trying to mimic various different ethnic groups' accents.
No, let me tell you, Kamala, she does different accents, depending on where she is, down south. Let me tell you something. You boys better get it together here and vote. Save democracy. Black community, she's like, let me tell you something, honey. Let me tell you right now, we ain't vote for Trump. I even saw her at a 7-Eleven going like, listen, it's very important that we vote for the Democrats. We're trying to save democracy here. We're trying to save democracy.
But this time around, the Democrats' pandering to black people isn't going according to plan for two reasons. A, many of them have thankfully joined the Trump train. And B, black men aren't really warming up to Kamala. Black women, of course, and women in general, they have a very high in-group favoritism rate, like another group of people you're not supposed to criticize. And so they are in the bag for her. But black men, that's another story.
I understand why the Democrats are nervous, but Kamala still has to be shoring up the vote of the people who should be in the bag. You know what she did a couple of days ago? She went to a barbershop, a black barbershop in Philadelphia to get the black man vote. Wow. And because, if there's one thing black guys in barbershops love, it's when a woman stops by and monopolizes the conversation. Always a winner. And
they're getting so desperate to try to figure out what, if anything, they can do that the Clown News Network brought Don Lemon in studio, who they fired last year for being a complete buffoon, who is trying to reinvent himself as a YouTuber now.
And I will just say that you texted me right around the Democratic convention, and you said, I am talking to people, and Kamala Harris has a problem with black men.
Yeah, and I told the campaign I did not hear from them. I mean, who am I for them to get back to me? But
like they don't already know.
There's a problem. And look, I went from battleground state to battleground state. When they invited me to the convention, I didn't just want to fly there. I said, I'm going to go and talk to voters in battleground states. And I did. It was not curated. I went up to people just doing man on the street and said, who are you going to vote for? Black men. And time after time after time, they said, I'm voting for Donald Trump.
Why?
Now, there are reasons why. They said, because most of the time they said, well, for economic reasons.
For economic reasons, which is closely intertwined with the illegal alien invasion problem. And here's what the Harris campaign did in Milwaukee the other night, hoping to inspire black men to support them. They brought out this talentless tramp to spew noise pollution, whose name is Glorilla. Get it? She's not a gorilla. That would be racist. Of course, if a white person were to say that, she is a glorilla because she's tough like a gorilla, but she glows because she thinks she's beautiful.
It's 7 p.m. Friday. It's 95 degrees. I ain't got no hitter, and no hitter ain't got. Let's go. I'm about to show these hitters love them.
Okay, that's more than enough. I can't even translate this jive into English because I have no idea what language this creature is speaking. And if you don't vote for Donald Trump, then you personally will be responsible for subjecting us to this for 4 years. Show bills.
You're about to be unburdened of your life.
We're gonna win, and we're gonna win bigly.
Round 1, fight!
Cha! Oh! Cha! 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 Ah! Tremendous wall. Tremendous wall. A beautiful wall.
I've
beautiful
absorbed
wall.
your policy.
Oh no, my beautiful wall. We're gonna grab it by the pussy. We're gonna grab it right by the pussy. Ha! Ha! Oh! Ah! I know Kung Flu.
Check out these killer dance moves.
Ha! We're dancing up a storm. Ah! You can.
Double kill.
I never lose.
I was endorsed by Dick Cheney.
The winner.
Excuse me, I'm speaking.
That's a win.
I'm a tremendous winner. You should see the size of my crowd.
Fight!
White devil.
I'll never admit guilt. Oh! Ah! Oh! Ah! Oh! Oh! Ah! Oh! That's not very nice.
Grits and collard greens.
Oh!
Grits and collard greens.
Ah! Selective blackness. Catch me outside. How about that, Doctor? Oh!
I've unburdened you from your manhood.
You're a nasty woman. China. China. This virus came from China.
Drill, baby, drill.
Here comes the storm.
I really have hair.
It's a hurricane, baby. Cash me outside. How about that? This is America.
Oh, I've got guns. You come to my house, you're gonna get shot.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the dog. Oh! Fight, fight, fight. RFK, I need you. You killed my father, you killed my uncle, now I'm gonna kill you.
Race card.
That's what you call a vaccine. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dog. Nut, nut, nut. They're eating the pets of the people who live here. Yet, no. That's gotta hurt.
Help me, I need Plan B.
Reporting for duty, ma'am.
Man. Ha. Made in China.
It's time we wrap up these shenanigans, Donnie.
Oh, ah, oh, ah, 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 oh, ah, oh, ah,
Israel wins.
What's ceasefire?
They say politics is like professional wrestling.
We'll get you next time. Let's go drinking with our deep state friends.
We're all super rich, super friends. Politics is professional wrestling.
Donald Trump's ballooning debt. A new Forbes breakdown of his finances shows Trump owes more than $1.8 billion, a number that's actually exploded just since he left the White House. Out front now, Forbes senior editor Dan Alexander, who's been pouring through Trump's finances. So, Dan, a lot of this debt actually comes from legal judgments, $454 million to the state of New York after being found liable for fraud. And he's actually racking up millions more in interest. Walk us through what else is there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, the biggest one is that 454 plus the interest, you get to 482. Then you go to his real estate portfolio. He has 360 against a tower in San Francisco. Many of these buildings have lots of debt on them. But there's also the E. Jean Carroll case, two cases where he lost and it was ordered to pay $88.5 million. Interest is also accruing on that. So if you put those two legal judgments together, Just those things alone, you're at about $575 million. And then you have all of the real estate stuff on top of that.
So let's say even if case is under appeal, right? So there's a chance that changes. So if we put that aside, the legal judgments, you've been mentioning the real estate business. What really stands out to you most in terms of the debt there?
The one that I think will be potentially most troublesome for Trump is connected to 40 Wall Street. So he has $118 million of debt against that building. And his leasehold interest in the building, we estimate, is only worth $116 million. So it looks like the building is a little bit underwater. And that debt comes due in July of next year. So he's got to figure out a solution here pretty quickly. There are two options. One is he could go find a bank to refinance the loan. But banks are going to be pretty skeptical of refinancing an old, aging office building where the occupancy is going down since COVID. Or he can pay for it himself. He has about $400 million in cash. Also, these legal judgments hanging over his head. Does he really want to tie up, say, $120 million paying off this debt? That's going to be tough for him to do. But in any case, he's going to have to figure out some solution here as he's rounding the corner into 2025.
So he talks a lot about just how much cash he has. Bottom line, does he actually have enough cash to cover these debts?
You know, the big question is whether or not he sells off shares of the Trump Media and Technology Group. This is the parent company to Truth Social. Mm-hmm. Right now, he has about $410 million in cash, but he has $1.8 billion in liabilities. So he's going to have to sell something. And those shares right now they move a ton, but today are worth over $4 billion. That makes up the majority of his fortune right now. If he sells a big chunk of those, especially if it's before the election when people are really excited about it and it's trading really high, he could easily pocket $500 million, $1 billion, and then he wouldn't have to worry about debt concerns at all. If instead he hangs on to them, then he might be in trouble.
What are the chances, though, of that happening?
Of him selling, you never know. I mean, it would, from a business perspective, it would make sense for him to sell them. Okay, this is a guy who needs cash, and he's got a huge asset, and these are liquid shares. He should sell these from strictly a business perspective. Also, he can sell a big portion of his shares and still hang on to a big portion of the company. So it just makes a lot of sense. But it would send the signal that he's not fully behind it, maybe he doesn't fully believe in it, and Donald Trump doesn't like to project weakness. So how do you predict how Donald Trump's ego plays into all of that? That's a very difficult question to answer.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
Pause that for a second. I know we have more in this block, but you know, when they estimated Trump's property, he was like, from our estimate, that means it's a made up number, first off. Secondly, this story is reported in the news the same week. Truth Social stock jumps 20% as Trump's betting odds rise. Trump net worth up $3.8 billion this month. So if he's up $3.8 billion this month, $2 billion in debt, not a big deal, right? Shares of Trump Media and Technology Group, the parent Truth Social platform, spiked almost 22%. The rally that rally added close to $900 million to Trump's net worth on Monday, with Trump's 57% stake in the firm making up about $5.5 billion of his $7.5 billion fortune, according to Forbes calculations. So, you know, equal and opposite. You read Forbes and you read CNN, and then you try to figure out what's true, but you can't look at one side or the other and be like, oh, that's just the whole story. You know, the Forbes article doesn't mention Trump's debt and other projects, and CNN kind of unfairly, you know, what's the framing of that other than we don't have anything positive to tell you about our candidate, so let us tell you negative things about the other candidate, which is not a reason to vote for people. But, you know, maybe people vote Trump because she's not Kamala. He's not Kamala. Maybe he could identify as Kamala and get both sets of votes. That would be a savvy move. He could identify as a person of color and a female and really just confuse them all.
Yeah, he could.
What do we do with our rules now? Oh no, we have to believe all women and accept all people as a basis of their claims. And he said it, so if he said it, it must be true. Oh my goodness, that would be fun shenanigans. But we don't have time for that. What'd you think of the video game video?
Well, I was over here busy sharing it, and because it was hilarious, and I noticed that this channel has 16 subscribers and the video has 210 views. Like, I figured this would have like millions of views. So I commented And yeah, you guys, let's try and get these guys some subscribers and followers. Shill pills. You guys
Yeah,
go
I'd
follow
never
'em, go
seen
follow 'em, go
that brand of
subscribe.
videos before, so I
was
think they're an
funny.
existing brand, and then Paul and Rhea made that video because they're in the video, and I know Paul could edit all those types of things. So I don't know. I haven't talked to him since he sent it, but I thought it was funny enough that I was like, we got to get that into the show.
Totally.
Because I thought it was funny from both sides. She played the race card that time. I was like, what's she going to do? You know, or like she absorbed his policy to get rid of the wall.
Dude, it was all so clever. It was really well
brilliant.
done.
Yeah.
It was
You have
genius.
to really understand the WWF nature of politics to be able to make fun of both sides equally.
Exactly. And then also just the throwback, like Nintendo vibes and stuff or whatever, man. Like, let's help these guys go viral. Let's help these guys go viral. You guys share this everywhere. I just
Mortal Kombat, I think, was it, or Street
that was
Fighter?
very,
It was
no, it
Street
was very
Fighter.
Mortal Kombat-y. It was
Yeah.
very Mortal with the undercut and then like the kick while they're still in the air falling backwards. Like that was straight up like Scorpion right there.
All right, we're going to continue cramming clips into this episode. LD, I'm just going to add on to that block. Go ahead to the media lies claiming Trump said, shoot her in the face.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I could not help but just laugh at this headline. Trump threatens ex-rep Liz Cheney with execution by firing squad. No, he didn't. No. Holy crap. This is so far from being true, it makes me laugh. Donald Trump never in any way suggested Liz Cheney should have any harm upon her. Daily News and all these other outlets are losing their minds. Wow. Boy, they sure are desperate. When you pull up the national polling, Trump is up nationally 0.3. Battlegrounds have Trump up 0.9. But, the other day I was talking with Sam Cedar, and he made some good points, and I agree with him on a lot. He said that pollsters could have overcorrected, and now it's looking like it's favorable to Trump. We have no idea. Nobody knows. And I asked him, what do you think if Trump wins the popular vote? What do you think that would mean? And he said that more people voted for Trump. I said, I don't think you don't think that's representative of any kind of like ideological shift. And he said, no, I disagree. I actually think that if Trump wins the popular vote, it shows that there is a shift in the minds of many Americans, and that does represent ideologically what is going on. So my friends, go and vote. Because look at this news story. Let me show you the lies. First, Fox News says Trump criticism of Liz Cheney as radical war hawk framed as call for violence by irresponsible media. Why? Trump said, she's out there promoting war. She wants to send our men and women in uniform overseas. How would she feel if those weapons out there were pointed at her, right? She needs to stop promoting this stuff. Oh, he's making the point that the warmongers, if they had to actually go and fight the wars themselves, would in 2 seconds say no war. Does the Daily News mention that? Nope. Here's what they write. Former President Trump is threatening ex-rep Liz Cheney with execution, sparking a new round of anger recriminations in the home stretch of the White House campaign. With just a few days before the election, a Republican presidential nominee told right-wing media host Tucker Carlson that Cheney deserves to face death by firing squad. Literally never happened. Wow. Wow. Cheney, who then crossed the political... Notice how they don't quote Trump. They never actually show what Trump said. This is how dictators destroy free nations, Cheney tweeted. We cannot entrust our country and our freedom to a petty, vindictive, cruel, unstable man who wants to be a tyrant. The Trump campaign claimed Friday that the former president was only suggesting that Cheney should not promote foreign wars when she would not face combat in them. Yeah, that's literally the quote. She appeared alongside Harris at the birthplace of the Republican Party, blah, blah, blah. Trump derides Cheney as the prototypical hawkish Republican, blaming her for plunging the U.S. into foreign conflicts like the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and risking a wider global conflict with Russia over its invasion of Ukraine. The daughter of conservative Dick Cheney, she was once a rising Republican star in Congress. Yep, and then she said, but I want war in Iraq. All right. Here's CNN. Trump says war hawk Liz Cheney should be fired upon in escalation of violent rhetoric against his opponents. No, he didn't. Yo, this is fascinating stuff. Do they have the clip here?
All right, let's talk a little bit about something that is getting a lot of attention this morning, and that is something that was said last night. Donald Trump was at an event in Arizona. Tucker Carlson was moderating, and at one point, the conversation turned to one of Mr. Trump's fiercest critics, who is Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney, of course, involved in the January 6th investigation and whatnot, and she has steadfastly supported Kamala Harris this campaign cycle.
So he was just talking about how she is a war hawk, and would she have the same point of view if she was actually at war? And he says this: she's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her. Let's see how she feels about it when the guns are trained on her. They're all on her face. They're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops into the mouths of the enemies. She's always wanted to go to war with people. I don't blame.
Oh, we just lost it. I didn't realize that was more, but the point is clear. She's a radical war hawk. He goes on to say, I don't blame him for sticking with his daughter, but his daughter is a very dumb individual. Very dumb. She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with the rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it, you know? When the guns are trained on her face, these people, blah, 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 in Washington, Trump probably could have spoken more cleanly, but we know what he's saying. He says, wow, I'm so shocked. Propagandist group are cut it off before the line. They're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops into the mouths of the enemies. Trump is saying if she had to face the combat herself, she would never support this. And this is what they do. This is, you know what, man? This is what they do. These are the lies and the manipulations, and they're doing it because they want to win political power, and they're nuts. Look, I see craziness. I see shenanigans, manipulations, and lies, and this country is shifting. We are now looking at a rise of an independent media. Young people in this country are polarized, left or right. If you're not paying attention, you might think that you hold the absolute truth in your hands, but here's the reality. People on the right tend to still get some of their news from the left. They still see what people on the left are saying. And as often as I criticize people on the right for saying things like stop trying to sit down with these people, it is that very nature which makes sure that people on the right are better informed than the left. Now, certainly there are things we can get factually wrong. That's fine. Or there's exaggerations and otherwise. But people on the right tend to know what the left is thinking, and the left tends to have no idea what the right is thinking. And I'll throw it back to that conversation I was having with Sam the other day, a few good examples. Talking about Daniel Penny. And he says things like, oh, Penny did this, Penny did that, and blah, blah, blah. I say, okay, whatever. And then I'm trying to understand him because there was a story in Philadelphia where a woman was raped on a train and no one did anything. And, you know, I understand this, you know, for those that are asking, because I'll probably have addressed a lot of this already, but I'll bring it up now anyway. I want you to see that there is no reason at all. Daniel Penny was facing a threat, so he took action. People on a subway train watching a rape take place were also facing a threat and did nothing. Pick your poison. Now, I think it's fair to say that if there's a fight on a subway train and someone pushes someone else and they leave, it's never going to be in the news. It's not sensational. But that's the point. I ask him this because I'm like, when do you intervene? How do you know? He doesn't. He doesn't know. The reason I bring this up is that he didn't even know the story happened. He says, I don't know anything about it. Fine. So then he goes on to call me incurious for not citing the specific 85% Social Security number when Social Security becomes insolvent, which means only what goes in can come out. This is the nature of the left and the right today. The left is going to read this story and they're going to say, oh my God, Trump is threatening change. This is abject fake news. 3 days out, 4 days out, 3 days out from an election. Abject fake news. My friends, I was asked by Sam, who do I think the bigger risk at starting a civil war? And, well, it's easily the right. No question. But that isn't to say that it's 100% or 90% or even 55%. Of course, that's what he's trying to go for. The left and the right both have their capabilities for violence. The right is substantially more rare, but substantially more devastating. And it's not an organized right either. But if there is going to be an escalation of conflict, I believe it would likely come from the right. That being said, the left will create low-tier conflicts and mass violence, and these people are oblivious to it. So when I get asked about the potential for civil war, I say, I don't know, if the far left firebombing the White House, firebombing St. John's Church, tearing down the barricades and attacking police. And and Sam's like, huh? What are you talking about? They don't even know. So when you see this story, this is what's happening. Why will there be conflict? When you have the state, like the Democratic Party, the establishment machine, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, trying to lock up lawyers and politicians and government officials on the right because they can't win an election. That's what they're doing. You will end up with, well, what you could say is it the left that's sparking the violence, that's causing the instigation that leads to a person on the right fighting? Well, you can say it's the government. But in terms of the ground level, I think it is more likely we would see a right-wing response. With all that being said, the reality by which this occurs is slim, in my opinion. I don't know. But look what they're saying in the media. What do you think a leftist is going to believe when they see this and then Trump wins? This is lying and creating extremism to such a degree that I'm actually kind of worried. Now, I don't know what to expect. The election is coming up Tuesday. It's going to be wild, my friends. I strongly encourage you all to go and vote because Trump must win the popular vote so we can rebuke the left and tell them they're wrong. They'll never accept it, but some will. Many default liberals will say, I don't want to be on the losing side and I want to be on the wrong side of history. This will be, I heard some people say that it's the first time since Reagan when the Republican won a popular vote. But I guess Sam was saying that Bush actually won the popular vote in 2004 by demonizing gays. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. That seems not true. But if he did win the popular vote, he won the popular vote. Trump winning the popular vote will send a powerful message. We will not tolerate these lies and these manipulations. So, my friends, look at what they wrote about Donald Trump. And he never said that. Look at what CNN is writing. These people are insane liars. Trump's point is clear. If the people in Washington had to actually fight the wars they don't declare, entered into, they would say no. There was a ballot provision, I think it was an amendment provision in the early 1900s, that if there was going to be a war, everyone would have to vote, and anybody who votes yes would have to go fight in it. And hey, shut that one down quick, because that would mean we never fight a war again. Because nobody will say, I want war and I enlist. Not going to happen. Don't get me wrong, some soldiers would. Most would not. I'm going to wrap it up there. We got more segments coming up today on this special weekend. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Something happened. I'm sure it was a mistake at YouTube where you couldn't search for it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was a mistake.
It has to be a mistake.
No way that was
Joe.
on purpose. And so if you Googled Rogan Trump,
they got to Joe. They got to Joe. He's apologizing.
You could only get clips. You couldn't watch the whole episode. You couldn't find it.
You're playing music too loud, right to jail, right away. You're driving too fast, jail. Slow, jail. You're charging too high prices for sweaters, glasses, you right to jail.
Who knew that Joe Rogan would be such a hot topic this week before the election? I suppose a lot of people, given that he had Donald Trump on, he had this back and forth now kind of subtext between Kamala Harris basically chickening out on doing his podcast. And now he has spoken out about some shenanigans at YouTube to purposely make the Donald Trump interview difficult to find. Now, this is something that we talked about, but now Joe Rogan shared some more insights that he had actually spoken to YouTube about this, and they admitted, it appears, from what he's saying, you tell me how you interpret it, YouTube admitted that there was a problem with their Donald Trump podcast interview. I mean, this is crazy. Have you downloaded the Rumble app yet and followed the quartering? Anyway, before we get into this, super quick word from this video sponsor, Sheath. Huge shout out to this video sponsor, Sheath. Sheath makes the Sheath.com promo code TheQuartering for easy. This clip, which was then shared by Elon Musk, has now been has seen 12 million impressions, countless of million views, I'm sure. Here's Joe Rogan on the censorship.
Something happened. I'm sure it was a mistake at YouTube.
I like that he's giving them plausible deniability here instead of like outright opening himself up to a lawsuit. That's probably smart. But like literally, he's saying something happened to the Donald Trump interview. So this is an important admission here.
Where you couldn't search for it. I'm sure it was a mistake.
It has to be a mistake.
No way that was
Joe.
on purpose.
Did you see the guys were it has to be a mistake.
So if you Googled Rogan Trump,
they got to Joe. They got to Joe. He's apologizing.
You could only get clips. You couldn't watch the whole episode. You couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And so we reached out to them a couple of times and they fixed it to their.
So again, they fixed the glitch. It's literally Office Space. We found a Milton Wadhams was it Milton Adams? I think that's his name. He won't be getting a check anymore. Wait, has he been fired? Well, no, we just fixed the glitch because he was supposed to be laid off and he was still receiving a paycheck. So he's still showing up for work. Every time something like this happens, it's just a glitch, right? Michigan, right? You had the same thing. I forget what it was, but there were some shenanigans where like the same address had like 30 votes or something like that. Same voter ID. That was just a glitch. And maybe it was. But how come those glitches are never happening on the other side? Every time the Democrats try to do some shenanigans or there's some big tech censorship, we're told it was just a glitch.
Their credit, so now you can find it.
Oh, good.
But so in the meantime, Elon was furious, and so Elon contacted Daniel Ek at Spotify, and they put it on X as well. So now it's on X. The full.
So Elon gets involved directly, which again is unprecedented, right? And if I search for Joe Rogan, Donald Trump, it is the first thing that gets served up. Right on top. Now, maybe that's because I've already watched it, but it is the number one. Now, I don't know, like 41 million views in 5 days, 2 million likes, 43,000 dislikes. That's not nothing. The left came out. They really tried to get real mad. But 42 million views would put this, I believe, number 2 all time. Now, people tell me that there was, again, some Elon Musk episode with like 60 million views. That's like not showing up in the sorting properly. But, if that's true, cool. I don't know. I can't seem to find it. But, this probably would have been 50 million if it weren't for it being suppressed. Now, to be fair, to get into it, like Donald Trump, Joe Rogan isn't exactly like the perfect search query, but it's pretty dang close. People said that they were searching by the episode number, that they were doing all this and all that, couldn't find it. So the bombshell here is that YouTube admitted that there was a problem and that they fixed the glitch.
So now it has way more views. Because I think on Elon's alone, what is it on Elon's alone? Because Elon posted it and I posted it. And this morning, I posted it last night. I woke up, it was like 6.5 million views on mine and 8+ million on his. So it's just... you can't suppress shit. It doesn't work. This is the internet. This is 2024. People are going to realize what you're doing. If you try to make it so that something can't come up in a search engine because it's too popular. First of all, if that's not trending, you tell me what the fuck is. Okay, so what's it at now? 8.6 million on mine. And what's it on Elon's? Because he has a lot more people on his than me. So that's just from last night. But you can't fucking suppress shit anymore. Like, when you're saying why is that not in the trending? You have a trending thing? What's your trending thing really then? If one show has 36 million downloads in 2 days, that's not trending?
Well, we do know that the YouTube trending thing is, in fact, hand curated. So while you can get into trending, even I've gotten into it a couple times on gaming video topics, that's still handpicked. So there's no way. Yes, obviously that video very clearly had to be the number one trending video on YouTube, but nobody handpicked it to put it there. That's curious.
What's trending for you? Mr. Beast? He gets a little more than that, but
12 million for Elon.
So he's at 12. So it's
20 million total.
It hit 20 million in a day.
Now, also to fact check Joe here a little bit, those are impressions, not views. So, I'm sure it's 3 to 4 million views though.
Just on X. And that's just us. There's a ton of clips. There's a ton of other accounts that have done it illegally, where they've taken the full episode and uploaded it. Right. So who knows how many views those have.
So, Joe, can I just check, why do you say you're certain it was just a mistake?
It's just a mistake.
He's trying to get him in trouble. Yeah.
I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Oh.
Now, it was my turn to miss the sarcasm.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's like, there's no way it was a mistake. That's...
Boom. He directly called out YouTube for suppressing his video. Right there. Directly called them out. And again, YouTube fixed the glitch.
too convenient. But it could have been like some rogue engineer. You know, there's a lot of people that are working behind the scenes. There's a lot
So you
of
think they
switches
suppressed? That is so dumb, though.
But there's a video. You could watch the video of people searching for it. You
I
could
did
find
it.
Okay,
It wasn't showing up
You
for
couldn't
me.
find it.
No.
I couldn't find it. And then it got to the point where you only had to write. You had to write Joe Rogan. They fixed it a little, where you write Joe Rogan Trump interview, and then it would come up. But if you just wrote Rogan Trump, only you get the clips.
Do you think?
Which tells you the fact that they have the clips. I don't know about that cigar, bud. it looks a little. You look a little outmatched.
What the hell is happening in Pennsylvania? Super shady stuff. That's exactly what's going on. Let's run it down. So first we have another assassination plot unfolding in Penn State area, which we just talked about. Then multiple districts attorney, or would you say, when you say attorneys general, would you say districts attorney, or you would say district attorneys, I guess?
The attorneys bit is plural.
Okay, so attorneys, district attorneys. Multiple have now reported thousands of fraudulent mail-in ballots were received in Pennsylvania, and they're investigating these. And I think they said about 70% of those mail-in ballots that they were investigating they found to be fraudulent. Thousands of them. So this is from the district attorney's mouth. This isn't us, YouTube, if you're paying attention. This is from the district attorneys in Pennsylvania saying this. Now reports coming in from all over Pennsylvania of large-scale voter fraud operations and poll workers and police telling people, go home. Hey, it's 1 in the afternoon, 1:45 p.m., I know this polling location is supposed to be open until 5 p.m., but go home. Go home because you can't vote today. This isn't some conspiracy theory. Again, they are sounding the alarm on this, most notably in Lancaster County, and we also had Bucks County, where these incidents are occurring. Former President Trump warned that Democrats have already launched efforts to steal the 2024 election, declaring they've already started cheating, he said, in Pennsylvania. And he said, if you have a mail-in ballot, get that damn ballot in, please, he said, immediately, because they've already started cheating in Lancaster, he said. Watch.
We've set an all-time record in the early voting, by the way, so if you have a mail-in ballot, get that damn ballot in, please, immediately, because they've already started cheating in Lancaster. They've cheated. We caught them with 2,600 votes. No, we caught them cold. 2,600 votes. Think of this. Think of this. And every vote was written by the same person. I wonder how that happened. It must be a coincidence. It must be a coincidence.
Yeah. So he also posted then on X, wow, York County, Pennsylvania received thousands of potentially fraudulent voter registration app forms and mail-in ballot applications from a third-party group. This is on top of Lancaster County being caught with 2,600 fake ballots and forms, all written by the same person. Really bad stuff. He says, what is going on in Pennsylvania? Law enforcement must do their job immediately. Wow. I'm from the Keystone State, and I'm pretty upset about this crap, the craziness that's happening there right now. Then you have these reports of Democrats dressing up as voter protection poll workers, telling Republicans who are lined up by the hundreds, sorry, we're closed. You're not going to be able to vote today. Watch. I mean, take a look at this. So these voter protection roll badges on the left-hand side of your screen, and these massive long lines for people to wait to get in, being told, no, you're done. We're closed. You can't vote today. If you're in PA, by the way, and you see these people wearing these badges at polling places, I'm telling you, if they're telling you to go home, stay in line. It's your constitutional duty. You have the authority to stay in line and vote.
Well, beyond that, I would say document it. Now, I did an interview on Monday. This piece hasn't done that well on Redacted, and I think that it's suppressed because exactly the content that he says. So the interview is with J. Christian Adams. He's a former Justice Department lawyer who specifically worked in the voter fraud section. And this is exactly the kind of cases that the Justice Department is supposed to work on. They have 94 lawyers right now that are supposed to be sniffing this out and litigating it, any type of voter intimidation. Now, because we labeled that segment "voter fraud is real" or something to that effect, it's not being viewed all that
YouTube
much.
is
But
blocking
listen, what he says is that there is a very lucrative type of industry called voter fraud denial, and so we should have known that it would suppress a video like that. So I'm asking you to look into that, share it, and then if you then read his book, this is exactly the kind of thing that the Justice Department is supposed to be addressing. Now, just today, the Voter Fraud Division of the Justice Department released a press release saying, we have 94 lawyers, we are on this, we are watching it. So this is the kind of thing they should be very interested in. So read that press release, watch that segment, read the book, document this. That's what I want to tell you.
Raisinette 35 in our Rumble chat says Lancaster County is Amish country. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in outside of Philadelphia in Reading, Pennsylvania, and right near Lancaster, outside of Berks County, and yeah, the Amish. This is the first time it looks like they're going to be voting. According to reports, over 80,000 of them are coming out to vote, and they've got their horses and buggies are covered in Trump flags. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen these TikToks, but they're covered in Trump flags and American flags, and they don't usually vote in U.S. elections. This is going to be transformative. Maybe this is why they're panicking in Pennsylvania right now. But to Natalie's point, yes, document it. Film it. If you're in PA and you see these people wearing these sort of polling place protection badges, we're here as like watchers. Find out, are they legitimate? Are they an actual poll worker? Are they a legal poll worker? Or are they a Democrat sitting there telling these Republicans to go home? Like this lady, watch.
Do you have a certificate to be a poll watcher?
I don't have to answer you, and you may leave.
No, this is a public place. I don't have to. Because I see your tag, and
you don't have the right to talk to me. So
this is America and a public place, so I have every right to talk to you.
You don't have the right to talk to me.
So are you a poll watcher?
I am here for early vote monitoring.
For early vote monitoring? Oh,
different.
Early vote monitoring. Early vote monitoring.
You do not have my permission to videotape.
This is public.
I don't give a damn.
Do you know the law?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do? So then do you know that I'm allowed to videotape you in public?
No, you don't have a right
Yes,
to
I do.
videotape
This is
me.
public.
I have told you, you do not.
Public.
First Amendment. Thank you.
Okay, so let me tell you exactly where to go, because today the Justice Department released this press release about their efforts to protect the right to vote, prosecute election fraud, and secure elections. If you see this, sure, send it to Redacted, but we can't fix it for you. Who is supposed to fix it? And again, we have a Justice Department that's run by Democrats that may not be very motivated to fix it, but they're supposed to. That's why they exist. So you're supposed to go to civilrights.justice.gov. That's where you go. So you need to be doing this.
Civilrights.justice.gov. Maybe we can put that even up on the screen if we're able to. I don't know. Civilrights.justice.gov. Go ahead, David.
I also wanted to point out that the AG and the FBI started a task force where they're going to make it a criminal offense to harass poll workers. And I don't think that was any mistake that they did that, because they're expecting this and they want to try to stop you with the police now. Because I've seen a lot of videos where the police are actually getting involved in, rounding people up and moving signs and stuff like that, which they shouldn't really be involved in.
Well, you're one step ahead of me, because that's exactly what we're about to show you. So this is at the same location. Now police are putting up at 1:45 in the afternoon. This is supposed to be open until 5 p.m. in Pennsylvania under Governor Josh Shapiro's order that you're allowed to vote until 5 p.m. Why are police then closing these polling locations down with all these Republicans in line? Here, watch.
Question. I have to bring someone here about 4 o'clock to vote. Are they going to
ask you to talk to this?
Are they going to turn everyone down?
I'm going to ask you to talk to this gentleman because the voting is closed right now.
It's closed.
I just want you to talk to this gentleman.
We have the right to vote until 4:30.
I got you.
Why is it closed?
Let me explain it to you.
Please.
Okay. This process is very slow and grueling.
That doesn't matter if we're online.
Very slow and grueling.
Doesn't matter if we're online by 4:30. We have the right to vote.
The reason why it had to close was because a high volume of people wanted to do this. Slow and grueling.
Well, then they have to wait till everyone's.
They had to cut the line at 1:45.
They cut the line at 1:45.
1:45.
You hear that, everyone? They cut the line at 1:45.
This
is voter fraud, by the way. No, it's not. Yes, it is.
So you have the right to vote until 5 p.m. They cut the line at 1:45. They put up these little, stands there.
They have the right to cut the line at the closing time. if you're in line by 4:30, right?
So,
they don't have the right to say we can't process these people until 4:30.
But they're setting up these things at 1:45, and they're putting these things back, all these like little, metal stands up way back, so that you can't vote. I even saw someone here in our chat. Just thank you for your $5 super chat. And Bucks County says yes, they are closing these polling locations early. I live in Bucks County. I think it was Andrea said. So they are closing this down. It's unbelievable. And as SM says here in our chat, it's criminal. But what if in Pennsylvania, it goes beyond that? I mean, there's some real shady stuff happening in Pennsylvania. What if in Pennsylvania, suddenly a bus pulls up full of illegal immigrants, gets out to vote and cuts the line? You're in line for an hour, 2 hours, and if a bus of illegal immigrants shows up and then gets in front of you, yes, this is happening in Pennsylvania. Friend of the show, Ann Vandersteel, posted this during her newscast today from Pennsylvania. Watch.
No, they had these people, they had about 12 of them walked in. They were all foreigners. And then they took them up. These younger people helped them to fill out, they say, vote PA today. Yep. And then they took them up, and somehow they beat a 2-hour line. And then they walked up, and the one lady, they were even asking her, they're like, we don't have you in the system. Your name's not right. And they're like, oh, well, we'll take it back and change it. Yeah. How do you change your damn name?
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Oh, like this is happening in Pennsylvania, folks. So if you see a bus of illegals pull up and cut the line, don't be shocked. It's Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, emergency services shutting down voting. This is also what David was just talking about, putting up these metal signs here. DC Drano says, if you want to know what third world elections look like, here it is. Cops shutting down voting lines because too many Republicans are voting. This isn't Cuba or Venezuela. This is Pennsylvania. So do not let them stop you from voting. And here is that video. 2 in the afternoon. Watch.
It's 2:41, and they are ending the line.
$2:41 in the afternoon. There you go. We're done. No more voting. Go home. You show up at 2:41 to go vote. Sorry, you're done. So Trump sued them yesterday in Bucks County after this news broke about Bucks County. And guess what? Trump won. This just coming in right before the show. The Trump campaign has won its lawsuit in Pennsylvania against Bucks County after they shut off voting lines early yesterday.
That was surprisingly fast.
Yeah, surprisingly fast. They're fast tracking these in the courts, I guess. Good. Yeah. So they have to stay open till 5 p.m. no matter what. And this is, I guess the governor had signed, 5 p.m. Josh Shapiro, that's, said that. So here's LaDonna Pauls in our chat says, this is illegal. I'm a poll worker and we go at 6 p.m. and stand in line and no one can get in line after me, but not early. Also, no one is allowed to cut the line regardless of who they are. So this is illegal. Thank you, LaDonna, for your chat there. And we'll wrap up Pennsylvania with talking about this. Why is this showing up on a local ABC News network, WNEP 16, scrolling election results before the election has taken place? They put this up on their screen. With 100% of precincts reporting, Kamala Harris has won Pennsylvania by 52% to 47%. Now the network, the station has apologized for that. They said we didn't mean to do that. We didn't mean to put that up on the screen.
How do you accidentally make that graphic? Oops. I just fell on my computer and made a graphic.
I accidentally typed Kamala 60.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Spooky Points with Crystal and Sagar. I am the hidden Indian passenger of the ghost of the Titanic, Sagar and Jetty, and I have a co-host today here from Australia.
What up, everybody? Australian breakdancing phenom. Ray gun right here. That's right. Took the world by storm with my iconic moves, and I thought I would join everybody this morning to show you a few of those. You ready?
Yes, yeah,
Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Here we go, world. Here we go. What up, everybody? That's right. I got a little sprinkler for you. I got a little kangaroo hop for you. Whoa, you were not ready for that. How about this one? You ready? Watch this. That's right. You know what? I got another one for you. Bam! That's right.
Wow.
That's right. Give me the gold medal right now.
Well, they certainly didn't have that in my time at the Olympics.
I mean, she's a superstar, right? I had to go as ray gun because she is such an inspiration that literally anyone could make it to the Olympics.
You're absolutely right. Mine is much less complicated. I got this for my wedding, and I just said the only way I can justify this expense is if I wear it for Halloween every single day. So there we go. That was fun. I enjoyed it. All right,
we thought it was a little tense around here, so we wanted to lighten the mood up.
You got to lighten the mood. So what is even in the show today?
I genuinely, I was a little too focused on my kangaroo hops to really think it through, but I know we got polls. We got Ed Germentum coming in to talk to us about why he thinks the polls could be underestimating Kamala. He was right about things in the past, so we'll talk to him about that. Trump was in a garbage truck.
Yeah, Trump's in a garbage truck.
Elon is threatening a severe depression if Trump gets elected, as if that's like a positive thing. We got Bill Clinton running around really not being helpful in Michigan with Arab American voters. We got to stop the steal nonsense. So anyway, happy Halloween, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well.
I hope that we can raise your spirits, inspire the holidays. It's it doesn't always have to be tense. We can still have a good time. Even 5 days before the election?
Something like that. Yeah.
That's 5 days before the election. So there we go. We're excited. Thank you to all of our premium subscribers, breakingpoints.com. You can go ahead and sign up there. I guess we should have done a giveaway, like a first reveal, right? In terms of our Halloween costumes.
Yeah,
that would have been a smart
idea
at a business level, but instead we're just over here having fun. So to make up for it, go ahead and sign up, Breaking Points. We've got a great election night show planned for everybody. We're genuinely really, really excited for it. So that's right. All right, let's go ahead and start, right?
Let's do it. Actually, one of our premium subscribers sort of inspired this whole moment.
That's true.
We got a question in AMA about like, hey, will you guys dress up?
Yeah.
And I was sort of like,
she didn't want to do it.
I don't know. Because if there's some, I mean, we are covering Israel in the show, so it's not like there's not serious things and potential severe depression. So it's not like there aren't serious things in the show. And so you can feel sort of like, I mean, I do feel sort of ridiculous right at this moment, but what the hell?
I felt most ridiculous in my car because the guy looked over at me and started giggling.
Yeah, when I was walking over here in the street.
They should feel even more ridiculous. I was trying to play a clip of theirs, but they got no self-respect to cover the news. They gotta talk about their Halloween costumes. All right, so we're just gonna move on. The gist of that was going to be CNN's going to tell you all signs are there for Trump. So that was just the other report that balances out the other CNN report that we heard earlier tonight, and you can figure it out by this point. All right, so commentary on that block. Scott, did you know about all that voting stuff going on in Pennsylvania? I mean, they make fun of Trump like he's not going to accept a fair election, but you also have to have a fair election there for him to accept, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'd heard rumors about that. I've heard certain issues here in Tennessee. I've heard some stuff coming out of Texas. And so it's like it's happening. Some people are saying, like, how on, election night 2020, we saw the big spike at 3 a.m, right? The big whatever the hell that was, right? We saw that happen. They're saying that now they're trying to pull that ahead of time. Like they're trying to do all the fraud ahead of time and front load it so they can know how much they're going to need to steal on election night, or they might just try and do the whole thing, which indicates panic. But this is all just like, we talk about controlled opposition a lot. You notice how we're still using Dominion voting machines. Like, it's like you think at some point along the last 4 years, the Republicans have been like, hey, I got an idea. Why do we not use Dominion voting machines? And like, I don't know if they came up with that idea or not, but I don't know. I don't know. I know it's a big complicated thing. There was lots of cases, lots of litigation around it, but it's like nothing happened. Nothing changed. Nothing. We're doing the exact same thing that we did last time.
Look, I'm missing all the traditional favorites of this holiday, right? In 2016, October surprise, WikiLeaks, DNC, and Hillary Clinton leaks, right? Mm-hmm. In 2020, what was October surprise? I had another one.
Biden laptop.
Oh, Biden laptop that they covered up, right? 51 security intelligence directors tell you it's Russian propaganda, which brings up my third point. I missed, where's all the Russia? Like, isn't Putin helping Trump this time? What's going on? You guys forgot about all those angles? or you realized those angles no longer play with the audience, even your own, and you had to move on to he's a Nazi, which if you trace it back, like I said, if you trace the people who funded the Nazis, they're in charge of the deep state that you guys are all sucking cock for. So I'm just saying, euphemistically speaking, I wasn't making but there was a quote this past week about Kamala's work ethic, and they said this is a real quote: she knows how to put her head down and get to work. Again, they just have no sense of the moment, I think, on their side, man. There's like tone deafness going on, like you wouldn't believe, but you have to see it.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, so
yep.
The nonsense continues, because now we're going to get to the equal and opposite. We had 10-15 minutes of Kamala's North Carolina. We need to see what Trump did today. So I think I don't know if he did all the rallies in the same state. Let's see. Kingston, North Carolina is what we're going to look at. He was also in Macon, Georgia, and a couple other places. So I had never seen this aspect before, where like he flies in and the crowd is just sitting there by the runway, I guess. And they play the Top Gun theme. I'm like, it just reminds me of like George W. Bush, like mission accomplished on the aircraft carrier in his flight suit. Like, yeah, you guys are going too far. Except like it's not the establishment, it's just one dude who thinks it's like a cool idea. So maybe, let's see. We'll cut. Then it takes him 20 minutes to turn the plane around and get off the plane and stuff. So then we'll cut to first 10-15 minutes of his speech. And then I'm going to take you back in time, because unlike RFK and Daily Show, we have a time machine that's available. And we're going to go back in time 4 years. 4 years? Yeah, 4 years. Is Trump the last president? A special by Really Graceful. And since it didn't work in 2020, maybe now's the time when he's going to be the last president. So I'm sure that's going to go into some Ingersoll Rand, Barron Trump adventures type of. That's why we saved it to the end of the show. All right, so let's ride along with the Top Gun Maverick himself, Donald the Teflon Don Trump. He's going to go and he's wearing dark MAGA this week, which is now a thing. So let's check it out.
Needs to be obtained. I think we're going to go to the call now from the tower.
Yes. Air traffic control, we're on final approach and are requesting approval for landing. Over.
Trump Force 1, you are clear to land. Welcome to Kinston, North Carolina.
It's great to be back in the great state of North Carolina. Air traffic control, this is Trump Force 1. Over.
Tower to Trump Force 1, we hear you loud and clear.
Air traffic control.
Now, I bet when Vivek lands in his plane, they don't play Top Gun like that. I just can't picture it. All right, so they set up those nice stands in Kingston, North Carolina. Let's see what happens when Orange Man Bad gets off the plane and starts talking to the crowd.
Go to North Carolina. Thank you. We've had a lot of luck in North Carolina. We won it twice. We won every primary. We won everything this place. We even named that beautiful little granddaughter Carolina. She's like perfect. She's so beautiful. I'm thrilled to be back in this beautiful state with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. I see some of them right in front of me, right? Like the man right over there who went through hell, right? Went through a little hell, but he's better looking now than he was when this little accident occurred, huh? The great Steve Scalise. Thank you, Steve. All right, cut, cool. Now, I bet when Vivek lands in his plane, they don't play Top Gun like that. I just can't picture it. All right, so they set up those nice stands in Kingston, North Carolina. Let's see what happens when Orange Man Bad gets off the plane and starts talking to the crowd. We've had a lot of luck in North Carolina. We won it twice. We even named that beautiful little granddaughter Carolina. She's like perfect. She's so beautiful. I'm thrilled to be back in this beautiful state with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. I see some of them right in front of me, right? Like the man right over there who went through hell, right? Went through a little hell, but he's better looking now than he was when this little accident occurred, huh? The great Steve Scalise. Thank you, Steve. You're a better looking guy now, Steve. What the hell's going on here? He's a great guy. I'd like to begin by asking a question, a very simple one. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Very simple. No, I don't think so. With your vote on Tuesday, I will end inflation. I will stop the invasion of criminals coming into your country. Your country is under siege. We have criminals of all variety, murderers, drug dealers. We have some of the worst terrorists in the world in our country right now. They may live right by you. They let them in by the tens of thousands. The worst administration in the history of our country. And if we let this slip away, we should have our heads examined. I mean, we have a big lead. We have a big lead. The fake news, they don't tell you this. We have a beautiful lead. All we have to do, Mike, all we have to do is go out on Tuesday and vote. We're going to win it. And if you do that, they can't win, okay? I wouldn't have said that a week ago. You know, this early voting, we've set records in early voting, which is something Republicans just don't do. They wait. But we have records. But you go out and vote. Don't, like, when I just came into that really beautiful plane and I have all sorts of access, you know what they're saying? They're projecting us to win, some people. I don't want you, no. I want you to forget I said that. Is everybody have a bad memory like the Democrats do, okay? They have the worst memory in history. They're the worst people too. But look, you got to vote. So forget what I just said. Forget what the guy some guy projected me. I probably like him. But we're really doing well. We're setting records, but we have to go out like we're on the 4-yard line, not the 5-yard line, slightly better. All we have to do is carry that ball over that thing. We get into that end zone, it's over. And see, that's within our control. The nice thing is, it's within our control. That's something nice about that, right? Because we're doing really well. Amazing the way they went out. And I'll tell you something about North Carolina. So I was one of the first people down, maybe the first person. I followed him, and I followed that sucker storm. I followed it. But then I said, I better let them just get their stuff. And I figured FEMA would do a good job. They did a horrible job under the auspices of these two people. I got to say these two people. And you know, right now I'm saying, who the hell's running the country? Nobody even knows. Can you imagine President Xi of China or Putin or anybody they want to call? They say, who the hell's running that country? It's the first time we have a country well, we don't even know who is running it. Nobody knows. Let's call the United States. Who do we speak to? Most of them say Donald Trump. Just call Donald Trump. You know? That's what they're saying. But we're going to bring back the American dream. It's going to be brought back at the highest level. And this is all you have to know. Kamala broke it, and I will fix it, and it'll go quickly. Yeah, thank you. So this is the big moment. We have a situation where if we do the right thing, we're going to have an America that will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, stronger than ever before. If we do the wrong thing, we're going to go home empty, and our country's going to fail. Our country's failing. We're a failing nation, by the way, in case you had any question. Hard to believe, right? But this election is a choice between whether we will have 4 more years of incompetence and failure or whether we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. And, you know, we're starting them from behind. We're like starting them from behind the end zone to bring back the football. And we're like off the field because of what they've done to this country in 4 years, what they've done to this country. They should be ashamed of themselves. This will be America's new golden age. It's going to be a golden age. We're going to do it. We're going to, you know, I've gone 62 days in a row doing this. 62. Can you imagine? And last week she took 1 vacation, 2 vacations. I said, You're running for something that's 100 times bigger than the Super Bowl. How the hell do you take a day off? You can't. Even people that like me and they want me to, oh, please, sir, be nice. We just want you to enjoy your life, sir. I said, are you kidding me? We have a chance to turn this country into a miracle. It's going to be incredible what we do. I'm not taking any days off. We're not taking any days off, right, Mike? We don't believe in taking days off. No, but she takes days off. I don't think so. In fact, just the opposite. I don't think so. I was going to say, maybe she's smarter than us. I don't think so. Now, that would be a story. Wouldn't that be a big story? I don't think so. She's done a terrible job. Well, he has. They both are. They all say, please, sir, just mention her. He's gone. You say, yeah, but, you know, he had something. I usually like to say they did, but for purposes of this speech, we'll just say that Kamala did. Because nobody knows, if I use the name Harris, nobody has any idea who the hell I'm talking about. I don't know what that is. I say Harris, and they say, who's Harris? Nobody knows. Every problem facing us can be solved, but now the fate of our nation is in your hands. It's in your hands. If we win this state, that will be so big. And you know what I love about this state? You had Hurricane Helene. And I'll tell you what, I've watched a lot of hurricanes. I've never seen a hurricane that went from here down to Miami. I mean, you know, got the end result of it. It was very wet down there, not devastation like in North Carolina and Georgia. They've all, I'll tell you, states have done a job, but the FEMA's really let them down. They've really let them down. But when you look at what's happened and when you look at the kind of devastation, what was amazing to me, and I thought 100% of the people, I was not thinking about the election. As time went by, I started thinking about the election. In the meantime, I had been there, raised a lot of money for the site, saw tremendous people like Franklin Graham. They were there so early, and he's always there. He's amazing. He's got a lot of Billy Graham in him. Got a lot of Billy Graham in Franklin. And, you know, he doesn't endorse people, but he endorsed me. Is that nice? He endorsed me. He doesn't endorse people. But you know what? The amazing thing is that North Carolina was devastated. And yet, when I said when it was time to start thinking, we still have to think about this election, I said, I've just seen some of the worst devastation that I've seen them all. Because I used to go and follow the tornadoes, and we've seen a lot of bad things. But you had houses that were ripped apart. The foundations were ripped out of the ground. You had things that you just don't see. No trees for 2 miles. I mean, big, giant trees were ripped right out of the ground and floated down in rivers that didn't exist. Areas that never saw water before became lakes and rivers. And I said, you know, it's largely Trump areas that were hit, meaning people that like Trump, right? They're largely Trump. I said the amazing thing is that we're going to have a problem, and I want them to just be safe. I don't want them to come back, and they don't have to register. They don't have to vote. So people lost their homes. A lot of people were missing and not found, as you know. A lot of people died. Quite a few people died. And you had people losing their loved ones. And I figured, and I said to my people, I can't imagine more than 50% of what had voted in the past. I mean, I looked at areas that were barren, they were gone, they were just devastated. And I said, so I figured if you got 50% of the vote would be lucky. I doubt you'd get, I would say 35 to 50%. And that was it. Nothing you can do about that. Just try and help people. We did. We tried to help people. Here's the amazing thing. Early voting, and the numbers finally came in. The areas that were hit so hard broke the record for registration. Think of that. And for voting. They broke the record. They never had a higher record. And these are people that don't even have a house anymore. The people of your state, the people of North Carolina are amazing. I'm telling you, it's amazing. I would have said, When I said 50%, I was sort of saying, I hope people broke the record. Every single day, and now cumulatively, the record's been broken. Now you only have to do one more thing. You have to get out on Tuesday and vote, and we're gonna break our own records.
Hey, Internet friends. Today we're talking about some books written long ago, seemingly able to predict future events as though Nostradamus himself wrote them. But they were so boring, no one really read them until recently. Before I proceed, should I apologize and make excuses for myself now or later? I'm envisioning Snopes writers spitting at their computer screens, and I'm already anticipating some of the comments a few of you are typing out. Grace, I can't believe you would perpetuate the right-left paradigm. Don't you know that politics is just theater? Well, don't mind me. I'm just over here in all my diet woke glory, going back to my roots of literary analysis. Because it's been 2 years since I uploaded my video on the marvelous adventures of Baron Trump, exploring the possibilities of time travel and psychological operation potential. And I've since been pondering Ingersoll Lockwood's other works, namely his short piece entitled The Last President, detailing the trials of the last president of the United States, the destruction of the Republic, and its parallels to President Trump. Hold on to your butts, Internet friends, because today we're traveling through past, present, and future to answer my pressing questions. What is destiny, and can it be manifested? First, let's talk about the author of these books. Ingersoll Lockwood was an American lawyer and writer based in New York. His father was a military man and close friend of Henry Clay, a U.S. representative, senator, Speaker of the House, and Secretary of State, who helped found the National Republican Party and Whig Party. Henry Clay's nickname was the Great Compromiser, the master of the art of the deal for his time. Apparently, Ingersoll Lockwood was a big fan of Clay too, because he wrote a poem for Clay adorning him with the Lockwood last name and referring to him as a brother. Both Clay and Ingersoll Lockwood are on record as Freemasons, which I only bring up in connection to the occult elements throughout their lives and works. Ingersoll Lockwood's friends weren't the only ones who were politically connected, as he was appointed consul to the Kingdom of Hanover, the fourth largest state in the German Confederation, by none other than President Abraham Lincoln. What did Lockwood get up to in his free time when he wasn't practicing law or acting as consul or writing children's books? Well, he created a club called the Union of the Titans, with exclusive membership of men taller than 6'2". According to his obituary printed in the New York Times in October of 1918, he died at the age of 77 in Saratoga Springs, New York. Ingersoll Lockwood's children's books about a character commonly called Little Baron Trump, his dog Bulger, and their marvelous underground adventures detail the adventures of a wealthy boy living in Castle Trump. And his journey consists of travel into Russia, depicting a world within a world which the young Baron explores with his dog Bulger, using a guidebook provided by the master of all masters named Dawn. Not even Baron's parents know where Baron was born, but he's constantly bringing up how big his brain is and manages to come up with a personalized insult for most folks he meets. And his adventures take him underground, underneath the Ural Mountains in Russia, much in the style of Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. All the evidence needed to make a Russian collusion case can be found within the text of a book written over 100 years ago. Jokes, I got jokes. While his children's books were written in the early 1890s, Ingersoll Lockwood's later works include The Laconics of a Cult, a critique of organized religion and what he describes as shadowy gods on their shadowy thrones. At the end of this critique, Lockwood attempts to create a new cult called the Cult of the Immortal Human. Pictured at the beginning of the book are two photographs of Lockwood at age 30 and at age 60. Why are there two photographs? I guess the author wants you to notice how little he's aged in 30 years. November 3, 1896 was the 28th U.S. presidential election, in which former Governor William McKinley defeated Democrat William Jennings Bryan. Keep in mind, this was post-Civil War and pre-World War America. McKinley won, promoting the dollar being backed by the gold standard and encouraging industrial growth. while William Jennings Bryan lost as the pro-silver economic reformer. Lockwood's piece of political fiction about this election is dubbed a novel, but The Last President reads more like a play. One of 10 acts or chapters that follows a different timeline of the 1896 election, one in which a character named Bryan wins the presidency. The first scene is set in New York, where mobs are breaking out in New York City, and states that the Fifth Avenue Hotel will be the first to feel the full fury of the mob. Within the first act, a clear division is defined, one between those who support the new president and those who do not. Sound familiar? It's curious because 666 Fifth Avenue was built for the Vanderbilt family and was owned by President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. And Trump Tower is located on Fifth Avenue, but the parallels don't end there. It takes a few chapters to establish that Bryan is beloved by the common people, considered a savior and a god to many. Bryan has succeeded in connecting with the everyman. In Chapter 3, it says that the people made him president in the very face of the prodigious opposition of the rich men, whose coffers had been of the satanic and truly devilish power of that hell upon earth known as Wall Street. So it doesn't take long to communicate to the reader that the valley between the rich and the poor was ever widening during this time. And the blame for the economic depression was placed upon Wall Street, which is given satanic characteristics. Probably because usury is considered a sin. And they say that the root of all evil is the love of money. There's talk of a dawnless day, and eventually, Bryan selects members of his cabinet. One of the members is a character named Pence. An executive order is passed abandoning the gold standard, Wall Street is shocked, and the brunt of it is felt by the common folk who are living in the streets of Washington, D.C. without food, waiting for rations and to be placed into camps. In a relatively short period of time, the dollar declines and the government is powerless to stop it. Taxes rise, and chaos capitalizes on this void. Separatist movements pop up with socialism and anarchy finding willing ears. Once again, the South unites against the North, as the South, which represents the common people, is upset about the taxes being placed upon them, especially when they view the North as the much wealthier territory. Prophecy details more revolution, more tensions between the North and the South. The play ends with a weakened and demoralized president being encouraged to resign by the Speaker of the House. But the president makes one last good show for the common folk, captivating everyone under his spell for one last time. Then, suddenly, the Capitol is struck by dynamite, and with it, the Republic falls. The whole thing ends really creepily, with the author describing a single human eye with a devilish joy admiring the rubble of the fallen republic. Like a scene straight out of the fires of Mordor or the pages of a Lovecraftian horror, neither of which had yet been written. Ingersoll Lockwood's books resurfaced into public consciousness in 2017. When the internet popularized the novels by drawing parallels between them and the current political situation in the United States. From wealthy little Baron Trump living in Castle Trump, being guided by the master of all masters, Don, through various adventures in an underground Russian fantasy land, to the last president in Lockwood's novel presenting similarities to President Trump as a political outsider and champion of the common people. The familiar name Pence popping up within the president's own cabinet, as well as the divisive nature of the election and the location of the novel's mob activity in proximity to Trump properties. All of these are sprinkled across Lockwood's various works. And if we step back and look at his works as a collection, there are some strange synchronicities for sure. But in 2017, the discourse surrounding these books generally revolved around the weird similarities, but not the implications. Certainly, mainstream media helped shape the discussion by publishing an endless array of articles aimed to debunk the connection between Lockwood and Trump, writing it off as nothing more than tinfoil hattery. These articles addressed the question of whether or not Donald Trump had or has access to a time machine, routinely bringing up Trump's uncle and his examination of inventor Nikola Tesla's laboratory. In the aftermath of Tesla's death, the FBI reportedly confiscated his papers.
All right, so there's more to that report that's from Really Graceful from 4 years ago, and I don't think Trump has access to a time machine yet, but he might in the future. I don't know. All right, time machine meme, and then we'll wrap up the show. If you have never seen the documentary film, I'm sorry, it's an independent film. It's not a documentary. It's called Primer. It's a 2004 American independent science fiction film made in Texas about the accidental discovery of time travel. The film was written, directed, produced, edited, scored by Shane Carruth, and it stars David Sullivan.
Not sure. Are we seeing that on the screen?
You can't see my screen?
Sorry.
There we go. No.
Oh, no.
There we go.
The output, you mean? Okay, yeah. So there's the wiki page. And so David Sullivan and Shane Carruth are the actors in the movie. Now, David Sullivan from Primer used to listen to my podcast, 9/11 Synchronicity. I was a big fan of Primer. And at one point, I was emailing with him, and I was like, hey, bro, was it you or Shane that came up with the idea that the character's name was Abe Turger? Because it was so brilliant, because Turger spelled backwards is regret, and regret is the root cause of everyone wanting to use time machine in the first place. And he goes, we didn't do that intentionally. And then like he got spooked out. So anyway, you should see Primer. Watch it 10, 20, 30 times, however many times you need to. Make a little map of what's going on so you can understand. And then just understand we don't understand what would happen or what history would look like if time travel existed. And would there be evidence of such things like artifacts like a Barron Trump book that mentions Pence and all that other good stuff? I don't know. And that's why we waited till 4 a.m. to play that clip. But I do have evidence of time travel here. This is what it would look like. This is a scenario for you to consider. Hi, this is Howard Cosell. I've just returned from the future via time machine. You're not going to believe what I am about to tell you. He's talking to a guy named Bruce Jenner and a guy named O.J. Simpson. So,
well played. Well played.
Well played. Except by Howard Cosell. He was one of the guys who got canceled back in the day, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
He made some comment and they canceled him.
Wow. Interesting.
Jimmy the Greek got canceled too, pretty sure, for some stuff he said. So they used to have problems with cancellation back on TV days too. Wasn't just YouTube censoring people. All right. So in an endeavor to wrap this show, let me show you what I got. Where's my browser here? All right. North Carolina, we do need to cover a few minutes of Truth Stream Part 3 because it ties in with what Trump was just talking about to those people who live there, right? Diddy case, there's, word of freak off tapes going to court. We are going to include The Simpsons Diddy party because I don't think many people have seen that. And then to play us out tonight, Tom McDonald and Nova Rockefeller, not related to the Rockefeller family. They have a new song called Goodbye Joe. Might have something to do with Joe Biden leaving on a jet plane. Don't know where we're going to see him again. All right, so with all that being said, LD, who do we have to thank for tonight's show? And then we'll go to Scott to plug his various projects.
Yeah, thanks to the Grand Theft World community. And thank you to Lift Something Heavy over on Rockfin. Says, great show. Thanks, Rich, Scott, and LD. Thank you. Lady DeBlue tipped us $5. Thank you very much. And that's all I got.
All right, Scott, where can people find your work and check out Rebunked Everything?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And I was going to say, the only people that have more stamina than Trump, apparently, is you guys. You, Rich, LD, week in and week out. Like, we're coming right now. It's like we're just first day of daylight savings. So I'm like, it's even later than we all even imagine it is. So good job, you guys. 4 years, huge accomplishment. And this is podcast. I don't know where the world would be without it. So
I will offer this quickly.
Yeah.
I am willing to put up the 2,800 hours of this show over the past 4 years versus what Biden has done over the past 4 years.
Oh, God.
I can feel good that we have outworked a full presidential 4-year term.
100%. No question about that. No question about that. And the amount of positive energy you put out in the world versus the nonsense that they've done, it's just unmatched. So congratulations, guys. But yeah, libertylinks.io/rebunked will take you to all my projects. Of course, there's Clip Genie. Clip Genie, you guys. If there's any topic, anything that you've ever thought of that you might want to explore further, odds are it's been talked about on this show, or No Agenda, or my show. So you can go to each one of those shows and use the prefix is the name of the show. So for example, gtw.clipgenie.com, and you can search the entire database of every discussion that's been had within those 2,800 hours, and you can find those topics, watch them, and then make clips out of them. So Clip Genie is a pretty cool little tool. Go play around with it. You can get links.
This is where you
it.
find that, just so you know where you can find that. He talks a good game, but if you don't know where to find it, it doesn't play so well. All right, so gtw.clipgenie.com. You search the box here. We've shown it before.
Yep,
we'll
there
just
it is.
see where Fauci is, and he comes up, and then you click on the various aspects that'll be in the search, and you can view the show, and then you can make clips and share them with your friends. That's the important part, these parts right here. And if you haven't checked it out, we'll remind you next episode, because I realize it's in the early wee hours of the morning here. So in the move to get toward conclusion, let's go to Truth Stream Media and their incredible 3-part series on the tragedy of Hurricane Helene in North Carolina. We're going to do the first 16 minutes or so of that, because that was like a full thought right there. Then we're going to Homer's White Party, and then to play us out, Tom. Thank you all for tuning in and not dropping out. Thank you, LD, for helping to play us out. And here's the rest of the episode.
You can make your family's life much brighter. You will find your work much lighter. It's as easy as can be to live better electrically.
Buck Thrill Kill, a retired service member from Fayetteville, has been in Creston for more than a week, helping cleanup efforts.
Debris, trees, everything, and it's under the water. Any little single piece of rebar sticking up will catch any and everything that comes by.
He and other volunteers in canoes, excavators, and waders have been pulling out items blocking waterways. Those things are redirecting water in new directions.
The springtime, when it thaws, all of this flooding is going to happen all over again. The locals know it.
The third part of this report is going to be a little different, as it concerns something that goes far beyond a hurricane flooding the mountains of western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee. But I just wanted to say up front that it's already starting to dip below freezing temperatures there, and there are people who are sleeping outside of their destroyed homes in tents right now. We have been getting messages from people who are extremely concerned about the toxicity of the water and mud that has now moved through western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee.
But they don't have water to do the cleanup process with. So they're moving mud by hand. They're picking up equipment. They've been warned that some of what's inside may in fact even be toxic. So they're doing the best they have with some of the supplies they have. But many of the people behind me here, these are not experts in this kind of cleanup. They are the artists, the business owners themselves, doing the best with what they have.
He says a horse from a farm next to this bridge has died from drinking this contaminated water and eating hay bales that were sitting in the flood.
There's cattle lifestyles up here, people raising beef, horses. Every bit of hay you'll drive down the road to see round bales of hay and go, oh, they're good to go. No, it's no good. It can't be used.
Even Madison County Chamber of Commerce has now put up a warning on their official website that the mud in Marshall, North Carolina, just for one example, is absolutely toxic, that they have hazardous material protocols now in effect.
Downtown Marshall, North Carolina was swallowed by catastrophic flooding. Now what remains is covered in a thick coat of mud and debris that's considered hazardous. Some of the volunteers that are starting to come in here are having to wear hazmat suits because all of the mud and all the debris is now considered to be hazardous.
And that everyone should be using caution anywhere where there is mud or water. It says an abundance of solvents or caustic chemicals is eating people's clothing, and that people are getting chemical burns from coming into contact with this mud, and that it's contaminated with household chemicals, fuel oils, gas, animal and human waste, trash. They're saying there's syringes in there, garden chemicals, pesticides, all kinds of stuff is now in this mud. And they're saying PPE is now mandated for working with it, including respirators. Don't go in the mud. Use caution and avoid floodwater and mud unless absolutely vital. So there's a secondary issue that is now developing here, and it's also making people ill. I have people writing me who know people that are working in Lake Lure that are getting sick. There are messages being posted on Facebook groups about people coming down with respiratory illnesses and pneumonia-like illnesses that are not pneumonia, and they're having lung pain. I don't think people realize how toxic, how absolutely toxified this area is.
And you can see how deep it is to the altar.
For 24 hours, 4 to 5 feet of water flowed through the church before receding.
I'm sick, but I'm not. I mean, I have some allergies going on. Now I have some internal stuff. Like I felt like I had food poisoning, but it's been long enough that if I had food poisoning, it'd be past. And my husband's the same way, and I'm convinced we got bacteria or something from somewhere.
I've been sick since it started, with an infection, lymph nodes and stuff that won't go away.
I mean, but you drive down the roads, Swananoa and Old Fort. I mean, it's a dust bowl. It's a dust bowl, and they think how many of those homes have asbestos in them? The insulation.
There's potentially a huge environmental disaster happening in Asheville, North Carolina, and everyone downriver. This is reportedly the IPEX plastic PVC factory. Everything looks to be destroyed, and chemicals have been leaked into the French Broad River.
It's probably the PVC, the powder form.
This is the only disaster I've ever worked, and I've been doing this since Hurricane Katrina. It's the only one I've ever worked that the federal government is actively working against recovery. This one, completely different. They're actively working against the recovery process, which tells me they've got something to hide.
And Bear from the internet, he's from Grindstone Ministries. They were one of the links I put for people to donate in the pinned comment under this series of videos. He did an interview with Billy Bond, who's a permaculture guy, just a couple of days ago. And I think everybody just needs to hear what this man is saying about what is going on with this mud in this area.
And I believe that they do have something to hide, because we're already getting reports, firsthand reports of cadaver dogs that are dying. That we're walking through these areas, especially in your neck of the woods, walking through the silt, walking through the muck, even going through decon afterwards, being decontaminated. I've got reports. One guy had 10 dogs there, and 4 of his dogs are already dead, and the other 6 are dying. Got another woman, firsthand account, that was rescuing horses, was leading horses through the muck and the mud and the river, and the horses are so incredibly sick that they started doing blood tests on the horses, and the tests that have been coming back are, in their words, literally off the charts. They've never seen anything like this before. Citizens, the last report I got in your area was 50 to 60 people in Western North Carolina that are already inexplicably sick. And by inexplicably, I mean they don't know what's wrong with them. And the reason for that is all kinds of has washed into that river. Literal human feces from septic tanks that were ruptured, wastewater treatment plants, thousands of cadavers, even though the official reporting is that it's only 213 dead. Well, that conflicts with one coroner that I personally spoke with that had 1,200 people in reefer trailers. Then you've got dead animals, NFS, Nuclear Fuel Services, that lost, the official reporting is they lost training barrels. Well, we spoke to the former training manager at NFS who said, nope, those aren't training barrels. Those are live barrels.
Wow.
And officially the number was, well, it's just one live barrel. Then it was 5 live barrels. Then it was a semi-load, 250 55-gallon drums. And we know because the semi was found and documented under 10 foot of mud. So you've got nuclear fuel or waste fuels. You also have the facility at NFS. They said they lost a pole barn in the flooding. They didn't. They lost a 10,000 square foot decontamination unit and all the contaminated parts and all the decontamination equipment washed into the river. Then you've got a PVC plant. You've got multiple concrete plants, all of which washed into the river. There are hundreds of homes that should be condemned. And I'm not for the government condemning people's homes. These people do not need to be mucking out their homes. They don't need to be pulling out the insulation and the drywall down to bare studs and airing it out and starting over again, because the silt is deadly. The silt will kill you. And FEMA has been slow rolling this, and in conjunction with local and state emergency management has been slow rolling the announcement that, hey, the silt will kill you, because they want to cover up what will likely be a massive conglomeration of giant lawsuits.
So I need to interject here because I just think some of the stories that are coming out right now in the wake of this hurricane are so odd. Like immediately they're telling everyone everything is fine. And I don't know how they could really know that. Case in point, you heard him talk about Nuclear Fuel Services. Nuclear Fuel Services is a company that sits basically 0.2 miles away from the Nolichucky River. It's like right there in Erwin, Tennessee, on the river. It's a major supplier of fuel for the U.S. Navy's nuclear-powered fleet, and it has been since the 1960s. However, back in 2021, they received a $57.5 million grant to reprocess weapons-grade uranium into nuclear reactor fuel. So that's what's been going on right there on the Nolichucky River in Erwin, Tennessee for several years now. And apparently 13 days ago, somebody in the r/radiation subreddit posted this picture of a barrel reportedly found in the French Broad River in Asheville, North Carolina. And the barrel says B&W Y12 LLC, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, radioactive material on it. And so a week ago, you have this story coming out of WBIR-TV Knoxville. No, this barrel reportedly found in an Asheville river did not contain radioactive waste. Although at one time, it technically actually did, just not supposedly at the time that it went into this river. So what this debunking story claims is that, yes, this actually is a barrel that originated in the Y12 National Security Complex in the Oak Ridge, Tennessee facilities that process uranium. And yes, some of these barrels did end up in Erwin at Nuclear Fuel Services. And yes, they were kept in a warehouse off-site that was actually heavily damaged in the floods, resulting in some NFS property being carried away by floodwater, but it's just empty, clean containers and training equipment and protective equipment. And even though it says fissile radioactive material on this barrel's empty and clean. And so it's fine. It's basically what it says. It's basically this, yes, but no, it's fine. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. And I just think it's interesting how quickly they were saying everything is totally fine with this facility. So the timeline on this storm in western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee is that it moved inland, degenerated into a post-tropical cyclone over Tennessee on September 27th. It stalled out there and sat there all day on the 28th and didn't dissipate until the following day on the
Oh, it's a white pony. Mr. Burns tries to relive his glory days and crosses paths with a mysterious music mogul who throws parties full of excesses. And we also see plenty of rappers, like for example Snoop Dogg. I sing JG, Pimp, Lie, and Ride. Betrayals and strange friendships. You make me believe I can fly. It all starts with Homer as our narrator, telling the tragic collision between the last magnate of the Jazz Age and the king of a hip-hop empire. First, we see Burns, who is sad, reminiscing about his past when he used to throw incredible parties, while receiving a double transfusion of fresh blood.
My parties were legendary for their magnificent excess.
Smithers recommends that Burns throw a party at his beach house, which Burns finds to be a great idea. He decides to personally oversee every detail of the party, only asking Smithers for a giant ice block from a river in Canada, risking his life. Because store-bought cubes are too lame, I guess. The next day, Smithers hands Homer the invitations to the party for him to deliver because he believes Homer is quite popular. The guests Burns originally wanted to invite are long gone from this world, as he probably even invited dinosaurs. Upon returning home, Homer shows his family the invitations and later distributes them in his own unique way.
You're not invited. To what? None of your business.
Given this party taking place in a rich island, Homer must select the perfect guest list of the city's most social elites. At a parking lot, yeah, that seems about right for me. As the guests take the bus excited about how great of an experience this rich party is going to be.
Off duty, so please, don't feel weird doing drugs in front of me, or with me.
They arrive at Burns's house in the Hamptons. They are ready for fancy. However, it's not the party they expected. They all complain about how cheap the event is. Even Mo, who is the cheapest of all, complains. Wow, that must be a new low. So everyone leaves. Burns doesn't understand why people are leaving, and he blames Smithers for not bringing the ice. He's probably lazing around in Canada. Later, Burns goes to cry because his party was a complete failure. Homer sees him and tries to cheer him up, but they get distracted by something happening across the bay. It turns out there's another party going on. Homer decides to take Burns there.
Would it help if I whipped you?
Maybe. Yeah, a little.
Burns gets excited when they arrive at the grand white party and starts asking who the host is.
No one has ever met him.
He doesn't exist.
Oh, he's upstairs in his office.
As they enter, a mysterious shadow appears, and he introduces himself as JG, who looks very similar to someone who also throws parties and is also a music mogul. But hey, I guess it was just a coincidence. He is not happy to see them. However, JG becomes thrilled when he hears Mr. Burns' name, showing himself to be a big admirer of his. He explains that it was thanks to a book Burns wrote years ago that JG started to become wealthy. The first step in the book was to have a logo, and JG chose a goose.
You make me believe I can fly.
Homer is more interested in the goose than the story.
Ow!
Burns is shocked that his book actually helped someone. And JG shows everything he accomplished thanks to it. From that moment, a great friendship forms between them. Meanwhile, the Simpsons family is walking around the Hamptons, where there are many fancy boutiques. They enter an elegant ice cream shop with strange flavors, and the place is full of rich kids. The richest of them all is Blake Black, who skips the line, which irritates Lisa. She's told that Blake does this because the richest dad makes the rules. Lisa confronts Blake, telling him he has to wait like everyone else. He tries to calm her down by offering to buy ice cream for everyone, but she refuses and leaves. The little rich brat follows her, intrigued by her principles, and invites her out. Lisa feels somewhat flattered.
Yes, it is a little judgy of me to be completely disgusted by you.
Meanwhile, Bart is upset that Lisa found a rich friend, and their dad is hanging out with a hip-hop mogul, while he's stuck shopping with his mum. A candle salesman tries to calm Bart down, and Homer, still narrating, mentions that this character will return later, though he doesn't recall why.
Who I think comes back later. I forget why.
Homer spends more time with Burns and JG, who shows off everything he owns.
Each of my enterprises has its own G6.
What's that one?
JG takes them on one of his jets and wants to give back, so he gives Burns a very exclusive credit card, saying,
"Take it if you want to roll like G."
Meanwhile, Blake takes Lisa out on his boat to see whales, but Lisa is sad that they are too far away. Blake does a rich call.
Fellas, what can we do here?
This, of course, infuriates Lisa. Back with the billionaires, JG shows Burns an expensive chain with his logo and tells him he has to use the credit card and splurge to live like him. Burns isn't convinced, but when he swipes the card, something inside him is unleashed.
Once, going twice, $10 million! Sold!
something I don't even want.
From that moment, Burns and JG go on a spending spree, living that millionaire Instagram lifestyle, even buying some of Homer's friends to be his entourage.
Goodbye, loneliness.
As the Simpsons family continues shopping in the Hamptons, Marge starts to lose her mind a little. Lisa, noticing a horse show and a protest, sees that Blake is involved.
This now runs on solar power and falafel.
He tells Lisa he gave up his privileges because she rejected him and he wanted to be worthy of her. He even offers her to join the protest, but another boy interrupts them and invites Lisa to brush the horses, leaving her in a difficult decision. It's no surprise that she chooses the horses, leaving Blake confused and hurt again.
For her, I gave up what meant most to me. Being a douche.
I have always say Lisa morals are weak. Meanwhile, Homer gives Burns the bill for his credit card. Burns worries he's overspending, but quickly dismisses it. As he continues asking Smithers about the ice, Burns tries to fill up his car with gas. When he tries to pay, his card is declined, and it's destroyed, and now he's broke.
I splashed all my cash.
Don't be so hard on yourself. It was your first credit card.
Homer discovers that JG tricked Burns into bankruptcy, and JG even made a diss song about it.
Excellent!
Excellent! JG took all of Burns's properties, leaving him defeated, sad, and miserable. His entourage abandons him as well. JG arrives to take Burns's hounds too, but Burns says he raised them since they were puppies, so they'll remain loyal. However, JG flashes his diamond rings, and the dogs immediately go to him. Burns thanks Homer for staying by his side, since Smithers hasn't returned yet. In Canada, Smithers, a la Luke Skywalker, comes out of a horse's corpse and continues forth trying to bring home some ice for Burns. Mr. Burns says Homer wouldn't return to the power plant if Burns isn't in charge. Homer does not give him a quick answer, and it is better to ask Marge, and she encourages him to keep working at the plant, as they now also have a shop to maintain. Marge has opened a boutique in the Hamptons, selling quirky items.
Can't we live off the money from your store?
Oh, God, no!
Homer leaves Burns to return to work at the now changed and very sexy Gucci plant. JG asks to see Homer to thank him for his loyalty, and asks him to remove all of Burns' stuff and toss it in the trapdoor.
Don't look at me! Stop looking at me!
JG offers him all the pies he can imagine as a reward. However, Homer's heart feels heavy because of everything JG did. Searching for an open grave to release his vomit, he visits Burns at the cemetery, where Burns is sitting alone, defeated by his poverty.
Would you like a sip of grief soup? I stewed it from flowers left on graves.
Moved, now Homer decides to help Burns try to find a way to get revenge on JG. So the next day, Burns and Homer are planning a very cruel revenge on JG.
Oh, banana in his tailpipe.
I can't afford a banana.
Bart followed Homer and comes over. And since Bart now has more money than he does, he is reluctant to help him.
I've got more money than he does.
But a sick costume does the job, and now they are forming a plan to destroy his rap career, and to do so, they need an expert.
We gotta go to the ultimate expert on urban culture. A white nerd.
So, they go to Milhouse, who tells them JG used to be in a rap group. When he shows them the album, Bart realizes he knows one of the group members. The Lyrical Miracle. It's the candle salesman Homer talked about.
Lyrical Miracle?
My skills were empirical.
His name is Jesse James, and he explains that JG stole many of his songs, and even his girlfriend.
All right, on sign!
He decides to join them to create a revenge rap song. Marge finds Homer and shows him how far her boutique has come, pushing it to the extreme.
What should I charge for these handbags made from the speaker covers of old jukeboxes?
$100!
Some guy tells them that is the cute, useless little store cursed, and that one day there used to be actual stores, until the idle rich wives appeared. At the studio, nothing comes out. It's like, has lost it. There is no inspirations. However, Mr. Burns has an idea.
I'm feeling it! I'm feeling it!
While in the recording booth, Jazzy James's ex joins them, ready to help take everything from JG. 3 very important figures are also part of the plan: Snoop Dogg, RZA, and Common.
And when I complained, all he did was laugh.
This diss track is ready to shine, and some feelings are about to be hurt, and Mr. Burns wishes Smithers was there to see this comeback. While in Canada, Smithers' misadventures continue. Wow, he's become a man. Everyone is entering the listening party ready to hear the diss track. However, during the song's live performance, things go wrong. Instead of them performing on stage, a hologram of JG and his goose appears. And let's just say it, he resolved the situation with money.
They'd never sell out.
They would. For money.
He bought the song and all the performers, inviting everyone to a party at the plant. Burns is left defeated once again, punching the hologram in frustration.
Punching back ceaselessly into his own face.
Meanwhile, Marge becomes obsessed with her shop. And Homer confesses he hasn't been going to work, but stayed loyal to Burns. Marge doesn't get mad. In fact, she supports Homer for following his heart. Burns has one last idea for revenge. But before he acts, he tells Marge they can no longer maintain the boutique, finally freeing her from her madness. And literally, seconds later, other victims fall into the trap of useless stores.
Now so many Yorkie sweaters.
Homer and Burns sneak into JG's mansion to steal the goose. When JG walks into his room with his milk prepared on the strange altar he had for the goose, but it's not there anymore, it's pretty weird how this celebrity has strange obsessions. Well, at least it's not like celebrities in real life have strange tastes, right? When JG arrives, Burns makes him believe they've already cooked the goose.
Trifle fatty, but other than that, excellent.
JG is destroyed, but Homer couldn't bring himself to do it.
Damn it! I saved your life, you stupid duck!
Angry, Burns decides to cook it himself.
Then I'll kill it myself!
And just as JG and Burns chase the goose, they get trapped in a chandelier about to fall. Burns keeps asking why JG betrayed him. JG explains that Burns told him to do it in the last page of his book.
You will never be truly ruthless until you destroy the one who made you.
He just wanted to be ruthless like Mr. Burns, so he, instead of being angry, Burns is proud to have created someone so sinister like himself. But they are about to die, and when the chandelier drops, finally, Smithers arrives with the ice, saving Burns from his fall. And apparently, he is now the leader of a gang.
Smithers! Smithers! Smithers!
Wow, that's truly character development right there. Burns forgives JG and gets his power plant back.
Excellent.
As the family leaves in the sunset, Lisa wonders if this experience changed Mr. Burns, and it kind of did, with him celebrating every day a moment of musical appreciation.
Let's not do this tomorrow.
This was a very awesome special, is in the style of The Great Gatsby, which was an awesome movie, just like the time The Simpsons parodied the movie Coraline. If you want to see what The Simpsons are like in this world, click on this video, but not before leaving your like and subscription.
America is going woke, the streets are full of fire and smoke. This ain't the way I thought it would be. The White House full of evil folks. Americans ain't free no more. They don't respect folks like you and me. The way we're treated ain't been fair. Fake news on every TV. 4 years we've been in this nightmare while they killed American dreams. We can't afford our lives here. Ran food and gasoline. These colors don't run and I only want it once. Buddy, don't tread on me. I won't forget the ones who died for our freedom, and I ain't gonna hand it back. No, no, no. If liberty and justice ain't enough to believe in, then get out of here and don't look back. Go, go, go. We love our home, and if you don't, pack your bags, you're free to go. Don't let the big door hit you with a good Lord split you. Wave goodbye to Joe. We love our land. Buddy will help you pack your bags. Don't let the big door hit you with a good Lord split you. Burn someone else's flag.
America is losing hope, divided by the way we vote. This ain't the way that this all should be. We're fighting over memes and jokes. They're burning flags that we hold close. They think that war's only overseas. The way we're painted ain't been fair. So what, you don't know me? You got something to say, well I'm right here. Thank us for the freedom of speech. You like to claim I don't care, cause I ain't gonna bend no knee.
These colors don't run and I only want it once. Buddy, don't tread on me. I won't forget the ones who died for our freedom, and I ain't gonna you don't pack your bags, you're free to go. Don't let the big door hit you with a good Lord split ya. Wave goodbye to Joe. We love our land. If you ain't fans, Buddy will help you pack your bags. Don't let the big door hit you with a good Lord split ya. Burn someone else's flag. If you look close, you'll see America. She don't look quite like she did. This ain't the country that our parents love, but I still hear her on the wind. We love our home, and if you don't pack your bags, you're free to go. Don't let the big door hit you with a good Lord split ya. Wave goodbye to Joe. We love our land. If you ain't fans, Buddy will help you pack your bags. Don't let the big door hit you with a good Lord split ya. Burn someone else's flag.
Conspiracy is the story of history. It's the story of plunderers taking care of people who produce. They claim to take care of them through government, which doesn't give you anything, it doesn't take away first. So it's not creating something out of nothing. It's very real what they're doing. They're taking your rights or taking some people's rights and adding more to someone else's rights.
If you haven't heard about our Grand Theft World community membership, here are a few of the things you've been missing. A mobile app where you can access replays of the Grand Theft World podcast and show notes. Access to the Grand Theft World community on Discord, where we crowdsource news and resources, and you can contribute to the show. The opportunity to participate in the Grand Theft World bi-weekly town hall. Exclusive content from Richard Grove, including behind-the-scenes footage and future access to unpublished material. 93 episodes of the Peace Revolution podcast, and the Grand Theft World newsletter delivered straight to your inbox each week. If you want to stay ahead of the great game, visit us at grandtheftworld.com, click or tap the button in the top right-hand corner, and join a vibrant community of researchers blazing a new path to truth. We'll see you there.
I unfold the groove, tune in, and not drop out, not to cop out, the post gears, remove music. This wealthy cat was moving, stack of cash in sports cruiser, major accent deals mover, promoted fast like homeschoolers. Then noticing one day some bills that went unpaid, those crumbs they led one way, discovered some unfun game, Then he was called into a meeting to disrupt and expose, but that was the day that the world froze. So stuck in the traffic and then caught in the panic, he dipped out in a frantic speed to exceed the seed planted at the event. And what would soon come, connecting dots to be revealed in Project Constellation. Big props to Maria, broadcasted, that's where I'd hear and get hooked on the name of Richard Grove. What he's saying is hypnotic. Synchronicity came out like chronic, all in full stride. Compadres around all sides, seeking sources to provide solution. The heavy-handed knowledge is Willie saying the peace revolution. Never knowing I was missing the blessing. The heaviest session recorded and revealed the ultimate history lesson. In this quest, and I'm a Midwestern who's rocking it dope. Subscribe to media produced by Tragedy and Hope. And if you didn't know the gift, and here's what you've been missing. And listening is where conviction is revealed in descriptions in a brain model. Don't come out hollow, but full throttle, and dive in the deep end so history doesn't repeat, and make it complete. Catch Grand Theft World every week with Richard and Tony. Chop it up with the homies, and I ain't talking about that public school baloney. And it's like you should know me, quoting Gatto in the flow that I'm growing, and LD's bearded is showing the time capsule stack of stats is open. So spread it around, the show is ready to pounce. Audience that abounds, seeking out what's profound. I know it is challenging, fallacies in the balance when a forensic story in it, boring men while exhorting in examination, contemplation, meditation, revelation, celebration, destinations planned, targets arrived. Autonomy crew of souls that survive, broke free from the 9 to 5, and we doing it live. Hey, with hope in our flow, where consciousness grows, as opposed to you don't have to think about it, dude. Cause it's a comedy show that be bombing truth, whoa, trying to make uncommon truths be more commonly known. That it's a Grand Theft World that I'm living in. ain't no reptilian skin, just some normal humans who love to sin. From their banking powers they aim to win, deceive and betray all man, making everyone slaves to them. It's a grand theft world that I'm peering at, disguised like a pyramid. For those tuning in, they be feeling that, revealing that things ain't what they seem, so I'm fighting back and digging jack, obtaining knowledge, wisdom, and artifacts, yeah, make like that aspect, that's what they lack. Yo, Trivium course, it'll deal with that, be a rebel, bring the logic back, cause it's a grand theft world that they rolling out. Got the growth model out, tracing Rockefeller dollars straight to clouds. SEC connections are hard to doubt, but most go the common route, walking with their head in the shroud. Yo, it's a grand theft world that I'm peering at, disguised like a pyramid. But those tuning in, they be feeling that, revealing that things ain't what they seem, so I'm fighting back and digging jack, obtaining knowledge, wisdom, and artifacts. You should know, it's not a video game.
This isn't Grand Theft Auto, folks. This isn't a video game.
This is Grand Theft World.
All right, LD.
It's a Grand Theft World that I'm peering at, disguised like a pyramid. For those tuning in, they'd be feeling it, revealing that things ain't what they seem, so I'm fighting back and digging jack, obtaining knowledge, wisdom, and artifacts.
If you need a single location to get cutting-edge information and keep up with the rapidly changing world around us, tune into Grand Theft World, where a forensic historian and a logic professor break down the week's news in depth and in context. There's a ton more there, so go check it out. And don't forget to get your Freedom Vault on the homepage.